Today I will be reacting to Poland's epic CIA rescue mission. Wow, that is really cool. I'm checking out the description of this video. By the way, it's from the channel Hydro Hero. Go and check it out. I mean, these videos are amazing. It says in 1990, a highly classified Polish intelligence operation was conducted in Iraq. The mission of the operation was to assist in the withdrawal of 6 American operatives who were a mix of CIA and DIA. What is DIA? Investigating Iraqi troop movements in the lead of the Gulf War. Yeah, why would the CIA turn to Poland, a Cold War enemy by all accounts, to help extract its operatives from Iraq? This is 1990. Berlin Wall had only just come down a few months earlier. The Soviet Union was still in existence, and Poland was yet to formally confirm Lech Walesa as its first democratically elected president. Okay, that's pretty cool. I don't want to read why, so we're gonna check out this video and learn something together. Let's go.
In 1990, a highly classified Polish intelligence operation was conducted in Iraq. The mission of the operation was to assist in the withdrawal of 6 American operatives who were a mix of CIA and DIA officers investigating Iraqi troop movements in the lead-up to the Gulf War. You might be asking yourself at this point, why would the CIA turn to Poland, a Cold War enemy by all accounts, to help extract its operatives from Iraq? After all, this is 1990. The Berlin Wall had only just come down a few months earlier. The Soviet Union was still in existence, and Poland was yet to formally confirm Lech Walesa as its first democratically elected president.
Okay.
What happened? Our story begins on August 2nd, 1990, when Saddam Hussein's tanks rolled across the border into Kuwait. At that time, 6 American intelligence officers from the CIA and DIA were on a covert mission near Kuwait's border with Iraq. And as the Iraqi army advanced, they found themselves on the wrong side of the front line. However, since they did not have diplomatic cover identities, they could not seek assistance from the US Embassy. What made matters worse is that their mission was highly sensitive. According to both Polish and US sources, these American officers were investigating the movements of Iraqi troops in the lead-up to the invasion of Kuwait. Without other options, the 6 American spies fled to Baghdad, along with hundreds of other foreigners. They moved from place to place, trying to stay ahead of Iraqi intelligence, but their predicament quickly became very dangerous. Despite not being taken hostage or directly threatened by the Iraqis yet, the group was in significant danger of being caught. The severity of the situation and potential fallout from a group of CIA and DIA operatives being caught in Iraq grabbed the attention of senior US government officials. The issue was discussed in meetings of the National Security Council, and the then CIA Director William Webster was asked to keep the White House informed of every development in the operation. What made things worse is that the CIA was caught in an uncomfortable situation, as without their own resources on the ground, they needed to rely on allies to help in the extraction of their assets. But having reached out to several European intelligence agencies for assistance, including Great Britain and France, and having their request for assistance declined due to the dangerous nature of the operation and the incredibly volatile situation on the ground, with the ongoing invasion of Kuwait underway, they were left with only one last crazy idea. Poland, by all accounts a bitter Cold War enemy, would draw less suspicion. The choice to involve Poland also made sense for another reason. There were several thousand Polish citizens working on construction projects in Iraq, allowing Polish intelligence operatives to move more inconspicuously. This was a crucial factor in successfully getting the 6 American officers out of Iraq undetected. What happened next was as daring as it was insane. The Polish Minister of Internal Affairs and the Chief of UOP.
I love to learn about Polish history. There are so many incredible events that I had no idea about. I'm so happy that I started this channel, and I'm so happy with all your supports. You guys are the best, truly. That's crazy.
The Polish intelligence agency, Krzysztof Kosłowski, assigned Gromosław Kempinski, a former Polish spy who was previously based in the United States and participated in many operations against Western intelligence services as the commander for the mission in Iraq. Kempinski was a man known for finding creative solutions to intractable problems, and he quickly got to work. For weeks, he worked out of Warsaw to figure out a way to help the 6 American agents make an escape from Iraq. The first step was to provide some security to the Americans, and this was done by giving them refuge at a Polish construction camp outside of Baghdad. The longer the mission took to plan, though, the more difficult it became. The situation in Iraq changed daily. Saddam Hussein, the then president of Iraq, wasted no time in imposing strict travel restrictions on diplomats and establishing military checkpoints on all highways following his invasion of Kuwait in 1990. The only foreigners allowed any freedom of movement were those working on government contracts, a group that included many Poles. As Washington and Warsaw struggled with bureaucratic red tape in devising the plan to extract the 6 American intelligence officers trapped in Iraq, the Poles proposed a solution: send their own intelligence officers into Baghdad to take charge of the operation. A decision that was at the same time both shocking and impressive to the Americans. The plan was daring and the mission incredibly risky. As Poles arrived in Baghdad to rescue the Americans, they were confronted with a harrowing sight. The Americans they were tasked with saving were in a dire state, worn out to the core by the weeks in hiding. They were in real danger, and the Polish officers knew they had to act quickly to get them out of Iraq alive. Despite the Poles' past as Warsaw-pact spies, they felt compelled to help their former enemies. As one later put it, "Most of us weren't believers, just professionals. Besides, these guys were CIA guys. If they were caught in Iraq, that's the death penalty. We said these guys are our colleagues. We had to help them." They knew that if the Americans were caught in Iraq, it would mean certain death. The stakes were high, and there was no room for error. With little time to waste, the Polish officers got to work, providing the Americans with fake passports from a Slavic country. But there was one problem. The Americans couldn't even pronounce the names on the passports they were given, which would blow their cover.
What is it with Americans? What is it with Americans, really? Oh my god, are you gonna... Are you fucking kidding me? And these guys are even CIA, bro. CIA, they are known for being so prolificent in so many different languages they can't even pronounce the words in their passport. Come on, not even the name on it. What the hell?
So they were ordered to remain silent in the presence of Iraqis. The Poles then scoured the city, studying the roads and checkpoints to find the safest route out of Iraq. They experimented with different identities, assuming roles such as driver, journalist, and diplomat. But the risks were great, and danger lurked around every corner. Despite the immense pressure, the Americans remained disciplined, working with their Polish rescuers. They knew that their lives were in the hands of these officers, who up until a few months earlier were their Cold War enemies. This, though, had to be put to the side, as they had to trust them completely. Finally, after several weeks of living in constant fear of discovery, the Poles received a signal that they had to move quickly. They were informed that people had started to ask questions. To make the plan work, though, they needed the help of some Polish civilians to get the job done. One man in particular caught their attention: a Polish technician. Just weeks earlier, on August 18, 1990, this man guided a convoy of 13 buses carrying Vietnamese, Filipinos, Germans, and Poles to Iraq's border post at Trabil, where the plan was to cross into Jordan. However, upon arrival at the border, he saw that the crossing had turned into utter chaos, with thousands trying to leave the country. In the midst of the confusion, he took a walk to cool off and stumbled upon a small gap in the border fence. As a technician, he quickly untwisted the wires, creating a gaping hole. And with that, in just about an hour, 430 people from 13 buses successfully slithered out of Iraq through the breach in the fence and into Jordan. As word of his heroics quickly spread through the Polish community in Iraq, his feat caught the attention of the Polish intelligence officers charged with rescuing the American agents. They approached him to ask for his help. He agreed. After several weeks, the Polish officer leading the escape arranged for their departure and sent a cable to Warsaw, which was to be relayed to Washington to inform them of their plans to leave with the Americans. However, at the last minute, a cancellation message arrived due to the Americans' lack of exit visas from the Iraqi government in their counterfeit passports. Washington demanded that they obtain the necessary visas, which would take several more weeks to resolve.
Oh my god.
Despite the setback, the officer persisted in finding a solution and prepared for another departure. On the morning of the planned operation, at 2 a.m., the Polish officer sent another cable to Washington, notifying the US government that they would move at 5:30 a.m. However, a reply arrived at 5 a.m., advising them to cancel, this time due to the CIA's objection to the Polish officer's presence. Nevertheless, the Polish civilians refused to proceed without their leader, and so the Poles decided to disregard the CIA's message. As the sun rose, the 6 Americans piled into a convoy of cars, together with their Polish handler, and headed off, north, to Turkey, a distance of just over 500 kilometers, or 300 miles. During the drive north, the technician, similarly to the Polish intelligence officers, attempted to teach the Americans in one of the cars how to pronounce the Slavic names on their passports, but was unsuccessful. Many of them had strong Midwestern accents, causing
My god, bro, how difficult can that be? Oh my god, I mean, what the hell? I mean, yes, the accent is not that easy, but I mean, probably because of this mission that after that the CIA started to become so proficient in foreign languages. I like to think about it that way, you know?
the technician to worry about encountering a Polish-speaking Iraqi. You may find this unlikely, but consider this. In the 1970s and 1980s, thousands of Iraqis had studied in Poland. This was a real risk, a nightmare that could blow the whole operation if it came true. A nightmare that soon became a reality just north of Mosul. At a military checkpoint, an Iraqi officer approached one of the cars and examined some of the passports. To the surprise of the technician, the officer spoke in flawless Polish, exclaiming how fortunate he was to see his dear friends. The technician's heart raced as he leapt from the car and, following Slavic custom, embraced the security agent with 3 kisses on the cheeks and a warm bear hug. After exchanging pleasantries and admiring his Polish, they chatted about the weather and the state of the world. Recalling the passports, the technician urged the Iraqi officer to inspect them. However, he kindly replied that there was no need, as they were friends, and could proceed without issue. A narrow escape, but the road to the border was still long. The risk of encountering another Polish-speaking Iraqi meant that the team decided more drastic measures needed to be taken. The Polish officer halted the convoy on a desolate stretch of highway, closer to the Turkish border, and strode over to the technician's car. He took out bottles of Johnny Walker Red from his bag and handed them to the American passengers. "Drink," he said. The plan was to get them stone-cold drunk, so they would resemble Slavic workers under the influence of alcohol, conforming to an Iraqi stereotype of Eastern Europeans, and thus lubricating, if you will, their passage into Turkey. However, this strategy failed. Whether it was their training or anxiety, the 6 American agents and their Polish handlers remained completely sober as they arrived at the border crossing between Iraq and Turkey at sunset. At the border, things went surprisingly smoothly, and although the Polish officer suggested that the Americans walk leisurely to the Turkish side, where Polish officials would be waiting for them, they didn't follow his advice. They sprinted like athletes, the technician later recalled in an interview. The success of the operation was seen as a significant achievement for Polish intelligence, demonstrating their ability to carry out complex and high-stakes operations. The operation also helped to establish closer ties between the US and Poland, paving the way for future cooperation in areas such as counter-terrorism and intelligence sharing. Despite the tense and volatile situation in the Middle East at the time, the Polish operatives were able to complete the mission without any casualties. showcasing their expertise in intelligence gathering and covert
Yeah, that
operations.
was really
In
crazy.
addition to rescuing the 6 American operatives, the Poles also obtained secret maps of military installations and crucial points in Baghdad that proved vital for Operation Desert Storm. As a reward for Poland's help, the US government worked with its allies to cancel half of Poland's $33 billion foreign debt. A deal to that effect was signed with the so-called Paris Club of Creditors on April
I had no idea.
21st, 1991. If you enjoyed this video,
Yeah,
please
I
do
did.
support us by hitting the like button and stay notified about our upcoming videos by
And that was really cool. Go and check out this channel, Hydro Hero. That was a very interesting video. I wonder why it has only 30,000 views. I mean, usually this type of videos have so many views. That was yeah, I've never heard of this. That's how you started to have ties with the US. But yeah, I want to see one more thing. When did Poland join NATO? Oh, in 1999. I wonder if this has also to do. What about EU? Oh, the European only in 2004, but NATO was 5 years prior to that. That's pretty cool. That was a really cool story. I mean, he never mentioned the name of the Polish technician. I guess because he was a civilian, so you cannot leak the name. It could be dangerous for him, probably. So yeah, that was really cool though, and they seemed very prepared for everything, even though the Americans couldn't learn their own name, their own fake name. But I guess it would be pretty difficult, you know. Maybe I was too harsh to judge, but the accent is really difficult to get rid of, especially in such a crazy situation of life and death, you know. So yeah, that was really smart, even relying on the stereotype that the Iraqi has of the Eastern Europeans, so get them drunk and they would just believe anything. That was pretty cool. It was a really interesting video. So thank you so much for this suggestion. I hope you did enjoy this reaction, guys. I will be gone for a couple of days, so next reactions will start next week. Thank you so much for the support. See you soon.